It's like an optical illusion. Yeah, shake it out. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to Advanced Hoop Skills with Chelsea. I'm Chelsea, and before we get started, I want to say thank you to the Jim Lucas Checotah Library for making this program possible. You can even log our time together today on Beanstack as an activity for the Sequoia Master List reading challenges. Whew. As you might have guessed, I love hula hooping. Look at all these hoops I have. Have them in all the sizes and colors. You might be wondering, why so many different sizes of hula hoops? Well, different sized hoops are good for different kinds of hoop skills. For example, bigger hoops are great for regular waist hooping like this on your body. Whereas smaller hoops are great for doing off-body tricks because they're lighter and easier to manipulate with your hands. In this video, I'm going to show you some advanced hoop skills that you can do with a small hoop like this one. Today we'll talk about isolations. That's what this is. It's when your hand is moving around in a circle and the hoop appears to be staying in one spot and it kind of looks like it's floating. It's an optical illusion. I'll teach you how to do this trick and a couple of variations along with it. Before we get started, let's do a couple of quick wrist warm-ups. Clasp your hands together in front of you like this and just make some figure eights with your wrists. This is just a great wrist warm-up that you can do anytime that gets your joints and muscles nice and warmed up. It's super important to take care of your wrists because you're going to need them your whole life long. Next wrist warm-up, place your thumb on your palm, wrap your fingers over your thumb, hold your hands up, and just make some circles like that. Whew, that feels good. It's going to be a lot easier to do these tricks if you're warmed up first. You probably use your wrists and your hands for a lot of things in your everyday life, like drawing, writing, typing, or even playing a musical instrument. That's why it's so important to take care of them and make sure you get these nice little stretches in when you can. If you do this, your wrists will be nice and healthy your whole life long. Now that your wrists are nice and warmed up, let's get started. The trick to an isolation is that the hoop is turning in a way that kind of looks like a steering wheel. So you can put both of your hands on the hoop like this and just turn it like a steering wheel, keeping the hoop right in front of your face so that you can see through it. Imagine that you're turning the hoop around a central point, just like a steering wheel. Yeah, you get the idea. So my hands are on the outside of the hoop right now with my palms facing inward. For this first trick, a two-handed isolation, I want both of my hands to be on the inside of the hoop. So my palms will face outward, like that, when they're on the inside of the hoop. But I also want my wrists to be crossed for this one. So I'm going to take my right hand and place it toward the bottom of the hoop, still with my hand on the inside, my palm facing outward, and then I'm going to take my left hand and cross it over my right wrist. So now my wrists are crossed, and my hands are kind of at the bottom of the hoop, on the inside. For this next part, I'm going to start to turn the hoop like a steering wheel, and you might notice that you can't really get very far with your wrists crossed like this. But you can get used to the motion of it being a steering wheel just by moving your hands across the bottom half of the hoop. So it's kind of like you're drawing a smile on the bottom half of the hoop. After you get used to this motion a little bit, you're going to keep it going by moving your hand up to the side of the hoop. And once you get to the side of the hoop, you're going to leapfrog your right hand over your left hand and grab the top, still with your hand on the inside, and then keep going in that direction. So, you start at the bottom, go up to the side, and then Your right hand jumps over your left hand to grab the inside of the hoop on the other side of your hand. You're going to keep going in that direction, and then when you get to the other side, your left hand is then going to leapfrog over your right hand. So now your wrists are crossed again, and you're back where you started. My hands are both moving the hoop in a circle, just like a steering wheel, and they're leapfrogging over each other. So my left hand jumps over my right hand jumps over my left hand. And you keep your wrists crossed the whole time. And this is a two-handed isolation. Of course, we want to stay balanced, so everything we learn in one direction, you're also going to learn to do in the opposite direction. Same thing happens. You're going to start moving the hoop upward, and then the hand that's on the bottom is going to cross over to the top. Your wrists stay crossed the whole time. Keep moving the hoop like a steering wheel in a circle, and when you get to the other side and can't go any farther, the hand that's on top crosses over to the bottom. Then you keep moving, and then you're back where you started. It looks like this. Now you can do it in both directions. Yay! You could do this with a bigger hoop, but it is harder because the bigger hoop is heavier and it's kind of a stretch to reach all the way around the big hoop. Smaller hoops are much easier to manipulate with your hands. Whee! The next kind of isolation I'll show you is a one-handed isolation, which is a little bit more difficult than a two-handed one. So with a one-handed isolation, you're going to start with your hand on the inside of the hoop. I'm going to use my right hand and cross over to the left side of the hoop like this. So my palm is facing outward, and my thumb is up, and my arm is crossing my body. I'm still framing my face with the hoop so that I can see right through the center. And again, you're going to imagine that it's a steering wheel, and just move your hand along the bottom of the hoop like this. It's like you're drawing a smile at the bottom of the hoop. So first get used to this motion, which is your hand moving along the circular path on the bottom half of the hoop. Then when you get to this side, where your thumb is pointed down and you can't turn over anymore, this is the tricky part. You're going to let go of the hoop and your hand is going to go up and over. As you move your hand up and over, the hoop is going to roll across the back of your hand, and then you're going to grab the opposite side. It looks like this. Did you see it? Up and over. Up and over. It's important that you go up and over so that your hand is continuing to move along the circular path. The trick to an isolation is the hoop looks like it stays in the same spot while your hand moves in a circle. Here's what it looks like if you move your hand straight across without going up. See how the hoop falls down when you do that? To keep the hoop up and looking like it's staying in the same spot, your hand goes up and continues in this circular path. Yeah. Time to try it with your other hand. Same thing. Start with your arm across your body and move your hand along the bottom half of the hoop like this, turning it like a steering wheel. Then, when you get to this side, where your thumb is pointed down and you can't really lift it up anymore, you're going to let go and your hand is going to go up and over to grab the other side. Whoop, just like that. Whoop. As you let go of the hoop, you want to follow the path of the circle and then grab onto the other side so that the hoop stays up and looks like it's floating in space. Yay! Yay! You could do the one-handed isolation with a big hoop, but it's much harder on your wrists because of how heavy these big hoops are. Plus, it's a big stretch to reach all the way around this big circle. If it doesn't look this smooth when you're first starting out, that's totally normal. It took me tons of practice to get it to look this smooth. It really helps if you have a mirror that you can look in while you practice. If you keep doing it, it'll just get smoother and smoother. Yeah. Bonus round! This next move is called a ghosting isolation. What's happening is I'm just isolating the hoop with my right hand, and then with my left hand, I'm tracing the hoop in the opposite direction. I don't actually have to even touch the hoop for it to work, but I can pretend to hold on to the hoop and create this illusion like both my hands are going in the opposite direction. How this works is I like to start with both of my hands at the bottom of the hoop. This is the hand that's actually doing the isolating and holding on to the hoop, and this hand is just tracing along the path of the hoop in the opposite direction. So starting with both my hands at the bottom, I start to move upward and outward, and as I get to the side, they are opposite each other. Then I start to go toward the top, and they meet at the top, and this is where my ghosting or tracing hand jumps over the isolating hand. I'm going to keep moving down, and then they meet again at the bottom, where this hand again jumps over that other hand. It looks like this. This one's fun. You can even try doing it from side to side by starting at one side, moving your hands outward so that they're opposite each other when they're at the top and bottom, and then they meet again at the other side. So again, this hand is just tracing while this hand is doing the isolating. It looks like this. Anytime you're doing different things with both of your hands at the same time, you're connecting the left and right side of your brain. So if this is a challenge, good. That means you're exercising your brain. You might feel like you're focusing really hard to get this to work. But that's good, because your focus is like a muscle, and you can train it to be stronger. The more you work on things that require a lot of focus and concentration, the better you get at focusing and concentrating. Remember, it's going to take a lot of practice to get all of these looking really smooth, but it's totally worth it, because once you get it down, you can really start to mix it up and get creative with it. Here's a two-handed isolation into a one-handed isolation with a ghosting isolation, and then going the other direction. Ooh, maybe I need to work on that one. Just play around and have fun with it. There's no wrong way to play with hoops. It's all about figuring stuff out and just moving your body. As long as you're moving and having fun, you're doing it right. Thanks for joining me today for this virtual program brought to you by the Jim Lucas Checotah Library. And don't forget, you can log our time together today on Beanstack for the Sequoia Master List Reading Challenges today. Today we learned the two-handed isolation, the one-handed isolation, and ghosting isolations. Yeah, I love hula hooping. Woo!